I think the big thing with Tua is runs that offense to a T, right? That's what I love about him, okay? He's runs it to a T. We know it's about dishing the ball, getting it out of your hands. He arguably has the quickest release in football. I mean, so that's where he's amazing. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's one of the first things you notice when you talk about positives. I go, man, getting the ball out of his hands.
I know a lot of people heard how Chris Sims ranked Tua Tagovailoa in his annual rankings, ranked him number 21, and people completely freaked out and completely wigged out. But did you actually hear how Chris Sims justified his ranking of Tua Tagovailoa? I'm going to take you through that video, and we're going to stop, and we're going to talk, and I'm going to ask you questions. I'm sure you're going to have some issues with how Chris Sims ranked Tua Tagovailoa. However, take a listen to what he actually says. Take a listen to how he substantiates the ranking he put out there. And let me know if you think he's wrong. I'm going to let you know what I think about the things that he says. So without further ado, let's jump into Chris Sims ranking Tua Tagovailoa.
Here we go. Number 21, Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins.
Outside of the top 20.
It was a tough one here. Man, it was close. I mean, it's tough. Damn, this is, like I told you, this 9 through 21 range, when I was going through this at 22, whatever, it is tough. I think the big thing with Tua is runs that offense to a T, right? That's what I love about him, okay? He's runs it to a T. We know it's about dishing the ball, getting it out of your hands. He arguably has the quickest release in football. I mean, so that's where he's amazing. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's one of the first things you notice when you talk about positives. I go, man, getting the ball out of his hands.
So you can't really disagree with that. He gave you two quick positives, that Tua runs the RPO offense of Mike McDaniels to a T, and he gets the ball out of his hands very quickly. Well, most of the time, he gets the ball out of his hands rather quickly.
RPO. I think other than Rodgers, he's the best RPO quarterback in football too. And it's because of his ability to just flick it and then has all these different arm angles to go along with it. So I love that.
So he's giving him his props. You guys can't disagree with that. He does throw from different arm angles. He's not your classic drop back quarterback, but he gets the ball out and he delivers it on time for the most part.
But, okay, his arm is below average for an NFL starter, and it doesn't create much on its own. And that's a real thing. And then, I know people don't want to hear that and all that, but there's kind of the good and the bad right off the bat as far as a headline on Tua there, Ahmed.
Matt M33.
Here we go. Going right to the...
So before he gets there, I just want to talk to you about his arm strength. Yes, he did throw some deep balls. That's not the arm strength he's talking about. He's talking about velocity. That's a little bit different. I wish he had gone into it a little bit more in depth.
Questions right here. I knew it. I'm just grill him right away.
We need to put security on you. Leave Tua outside the top 15 and we will break you.
Come up
the
here.
Dolphins fans
One
already
Blakely Street, Stamford, Connecticut.
They felt
See
it.
ya. Okay, outside.
So right away, he addresses the Tuanon crowd who feel no problem with telling somebody they're going to come after you if you don't do right by the chosen one. You're not allowed to be objective. I hope you're being objective, and then you can see that he did address some positives. Did you know before you saw this that he actually did address some positives with Tua Tagovailoa's gameplay? Not many people probably knew that because all they saw all over Twitter was how bad that Chris Sims went after Tua, which isn't true whatsoever.
Because you said no strong arm.
Right.
Let me go to this stat for you.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for this?
Right. So he's going to start talking about stats that you see everybody talking about, but as a former quarterback, and it doesn't really matter how good he was in the NFL, he still explains to you what those stats actually mean.
I'm about to bust your narrative right here.
Okay.
Completed air yards per completion. So every time you complete a pass, how far did the ball travel through the air? You know who was number one last year?
Tua
Tagovailoa.
Right.
He was number one over your guy, Josh Allen. So so take that. But I will say, you want me to read the rest of the top 9 here?
Yeah.
It was Tua over Josh Allen. Number 3 was Marcus Mariota. 4 was Justin Fields. 5 was Zach Wilson. 6 was Taylor Heineke. 7 was Derek Carr. 8 was Jacoby Brissett. And 9 was Ryan Tannehill, where guys like Joe Burrow was 18, Patrick Mahomes was 20, Tom Brady was 29, and Justin Herbert was 32. He should have been higher.
Now listen to how he explains why those numbers are the way they are.
But so maybe this stat is not indicative of a quarterback who has a strong arm and is torching teams down the field.
It's a stat that goes, there's just so much layers and stuff to dive into there, right? I mean, the whole league is scared of Mahomes throwing it deep. So we've complained for 3 years before it. Can they find a more short passing game? Everybody is 20 yards down the field, right? So that's why they had to do it. Everybody plays them that way. Tua, it's almost the opposite, right? It's speed reverse. It's the Shanahan run game. That's pretty good. Oh, it's the screens and all of that. Oh, gosh, we got to worry about all that. Oh, it's his quick RPOs. We got to get up there and stop all that. Oh, now we've put everybody up at the line of scrimmage to stop all that. Oh, and now they have the fastest guy in football running down the middle of the field. So there is that. Let alone, hey, fake this, fake that. I faked the reverse. I faked the run. And now Tyreek Hill faked running the post and curled up, 15 yards over the middle, and he's wide open. So they know how to use.
We saw that time and time again, over and over all season long. He's 100% correct. If you disagree, let me know. But if you want to talk football, what he just said is dead on. He's completely right in the way that the Miami Dolphins ran the offense last year.
It all together the right way. Nobody would watch Tua film and go, oh, man, it's lasers and he's throwing bombs everywhere. I mean, how many?
No. Nobody, not even the most ardent of fan, not even the huge card-carrying TuaNon member can say that Tua Tagovailoa has a laser arm. But that doesn't matter. Doesn't make it bad.
Teams and players did we have make fun of Tua in that offense last year that he throws the ball 1 foot down the field, right? I mean, so it's a lot of looking for that, and then teams overplay it because it's dangerous, and then he hits a shot down the field, which he did do better at.
Yeah.
But the thing where I would fight back against, right, is, man, I mean, when you really break it down, there's so many yards and plays left on the field. I mean, so many.
Now, this is really important when he says yards left on the field. This is the knock against Tua that a lot of Tua fans don't understand or don't want to understand. It's very, very important here.
A lot of the times they were good enough to overcome it, but there's a lot of games, and we were talking before the show. I was like, hey, I'm watching their Lions game. I mean, yeah, he had good stats in the Lions game. We should have had a little extra 150 probably, let alone some touchdowns instead of field goals or whatever else. Where I go, man, I mean, top quarterbacks in football, get this. This is a touchdown, gone, see you later. Instead, Tyreek Hill stopping to catch the ball, and turn around where I go, that should have been a 60-yard touchdown. It was a 40-yard gain because the ball's underthrown. Or, man, that should have been hit your head, touchdown, underthrown, incomplete, right? Or you've heard me say even during last year, Jalen Waddle wide open over the middle. Hit him on the run. He's going to run up the sidelines for a touchdown. But instead he had to stop or go to the ground or whatever. We got a 15-yard gain. It was good. And we could all tell everybody how awesome Tua is. But I'm going to just sit here and go, if that was Andy Reid or, Ken Dorsey watching film with Josh Allen or Mahomes, they'd go, you're better than that. You got to hit him on the run. That's a touchdown. You just left points on the board.
Now, in the Green Bay game, when Tua did hit Waddle on the run, you saw what happened. That play was open throughout the year, and it got missed a lot. We also saw Tyreek have to curl up and basically jump up and elevate to catch a ball that was underthrown, where if it was thrown to a spot, where he could have kept running, yeah, it's going to be 6 points all day, all night.
But here, let me just hit a few more positives with them too, because
you felt bad. You felt bad there.
Well,
for a second.
because there's a lot of good.
Yes.
There is, like I said, the RPO game is as good as it gets. The variety of releases, I mean, they're awesome. They really are. He's a good athlete. He moves. We know that. He's not a great runner, but he's a good athlete and can move in the pocket. But, I mean, his releases on the RPO game or drop back pass game or even bootlegs, man, he's got a little of everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's really a wheeler and a dealer that way. And I love that about him. He can, again, another guy, like I said earlier, just a release is arguably the quickest in football. Feet can be cockeyed and still get the ball. But then you get into the down the field throws. The ball dies out down the field too much. Guys have to wait way more than you think, right?
Those were some of his biggest plays, too, where Tyreek was able to come back to the ball, adjust. And the DBs were not able to adjust.
Exactly, right.
Do you disagree with that? There's a tremendous amount of film you can go back and watch. You can actually see Tyreek blow past people and then have to come back and jump up for the ball. Time and time again. That's what football coaches dig in and look at. They know, they see it. Fans maybe not understanding that, but where that ball placement would have been, where Tyreek was running, could have been a touchdown. Instead of a 30-yard gain, could have been a 50-yard gain. Instead of a 50-yard gain, could have been a touchdown. So the ball placement, the timing aren't really there in terms of being able to throw the long ball all the time.
Hey, another thing that plays into this, he's not durable. Kind of important. Again, you think I can't put that a part of the ranking? Durability? I mean, it's been an issue his whole career so far.
Everybody wants to look at stats. But when you look at the entirety of the picture surrounding Tua, there's a huge stigma. And it's not just concussions. It's just injuries. He is not shown yet to be a durable quarterback. So that's, of course, going to impact his rankings. You just can't take numbers from the first half of the season and go, hey, he's done great. He's a top-ranked quarterback. You got to put in the other intangibles as well.
He does play small in the pocket. He loses control of power throws down the field. And, back to our headline, when teams a la the 49ers, the Chargers, when teams took away some of those, the easy bootleg, the easy screen, some of those tricks, and it became, you got to hit 15 and 20-yard throws all day long, he couldn't deliver there.
Yeah. Okay, do you disagree with that? If you disagree with that, go back and look at some of the game film after, not early in the season. I'm talking about coaches who had time to look at what Tua was doing, who had time to dig in and just dissect the offense, so that when you got to the Chargers game and they saw what was going on, when you got to the San Francisco game, yeah, Sherfield got that big touchdown at the beginning, but then that's it. Lights out. Somebody saw something and they figured out a way to go after Tua to shut him down. That's going to happen a lot this year. I guarantee you.
It took a while for that book to come out on him, too. So I'm kind of curious to see.
It took a while for teams to figure out how do we defend all this stuff. You're right. And it usually only takes one team or two to give a little blueprint. And a team goes, okay, wait, we can copy this. And I have a good idea on top of that. Right? And that's where it goes. And it will be interesting this year.
They're going to need a new wrinkle.
Teams are going to study them this year. The AFC East definitely is going, holy shit, how are we going to defend the Dolphins this year? What are we going to do?
Now, that's what the challenge is for Mike McDaniel. He knows now that he exposed himself last season. Now he's got a full offseason to throw those additional wrinkles in. And he also has a year of film on his opponents. So now we're going to move into that chess match of coaching where you're hoping that your scout team has found out enough about the teams you're going to be playing and that you can disguise some of the stuff that you've been doing from them. That's going to be very interesting. You don't hear many fans talk about that at all. They just think that everybody's going to be great. The numbers look fantastic, but they don't take into account the intelligence of defensive coordinators across the country. Miami Dolphins got a big plus by bringing in Vic Fangio, who spent a year looking at the teams he's going to play. And the same thing's happening with defensive coordinators that the Dolphins have to play. It's going to be really interesting.
Let's show the numbers last year, and they were outstanding in this offense for Tua last year. He ranked first in yards per pass attempt, first in touchdown percentage. 6% of his passes were TDs. He was first in passer rating. And if this offense is functioning at a high level, Mike McDaniel does a good job with it. We can see numbers up there once again. And I think the positive for him, and let me throw this at you.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing this ranking, if you're unfamiliar with the drill, as like, we don't know the teammates, we don't know the offensive system, so it's just like we could have Tua trying to quarterback the Houston Texans right here, and how good is he going to look in that environment. But if we were to say we know the offense in this Miami Dolphins offense, you said what he's elite at, running the offense, the RPO game, the quick releases, like in this offense, are there that many quarterbacks better than Tua at functioning in this particular offense?
No, they're not. This offense is tailor-made for Tua's skills, period. He is the cog of the Miami Dolphins offense. Mike McDaniel has said it many, many times. He's the perfect quarterback for this offense. Doesn't mean he could play with the Texans. Doesn't mean he could play with the Jets. But he's the perfect quarterback for this offense. Big difference in terms of when you're ranking quarterbacks throughout the year.
He's
Daniel
the
wants to run.
perfect fit for this offense. And where I will say he's got an advantage over a lot of people in football, like I said, is the RPO game, which is what they want to do. So all of that, there's no doubt, right? There's no doubt. Yes.
So that RPO game, everybody's talking about Dalvin Cook, and it may not come here. Devon A-Chain now is in the house. Still have Mostert. Still have Jeff Wilson rather. So the running back room is extremely strong. And I think that's where he's going to have to look at doing some things differently and actually bring those guys more prevalent, put their running game out there, because these offenses are going to be looking to see what the Dolphins do differently. And hopefully the offensive line is up to task, because they're going to have to block for these guys. They're going to have to make some holes for him. As fast as Devon A-Chain is, he's still going to have a hole to run through. As fast as Raheem Mostert is, and we watched the end of the season where he, basically torched Buffalo. But they're going to have to run a lot more to take pressure off of Tua.
But hey, Mahomes is really good at RPOs.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is too, right? Maybe can they?
Can you disagree with that? I don't think you can.
Get it out as quick? I don't know. It's debatable. But they make up for it because the ball gets there so quick. So even though it might have not been like start the motion to throw it and then release might be a hair slower than Tua's, their ball in the air and gets to people way.
That's what I was talking about. The velocity of the throw versus distance of the throw. The velocity of that ball, being able to get it where you want it to get to faster, is where Tua kind of lacks.
Quicker. And I know people with the Tua thing, they go, oh, the yak's not that big. It's all in the air and all that.
Yeah, the numbers indicate that he wasn't helped that much by receivers running after the catch.
Right. Well, there's a lot of things that I explained a few, right? I mean, again, there's a bunch of examples where I go, the guy should have been running long after the catch, but he had to stop or go to the ground, right? Mm-hmm. Or, where people take, this is where people lose sight of arm strength, where I can go back and show you a few games and go, here's a 20-yard out route, right? The guy's wide open, but he had to wait forever for the ball. And then he either had to step out of bounds because the ball was forever to get there, or people rallied, and now he got tackled.
I don't think that's debatable. Many fans may have a problem with it, but go back and look at the film. There were a couple really clutch throws that Tua made to the sidelines, but they basically floated there. The velocity wasn't the same as a Mahomes or even a Josh Allen, but that's okay. That's not to say it won't work, but understand right now what we're talking about is Chris Sims' rankings. That's a little bit different. So it could work, and I'm sure McDaniel is calling plays to his strengths, but it's not the same.
Where I go, I could show you the same play, the same amount of space with Allen or Mahomes, They catch it, nobody's around them, and they get to turn up the field or run or whatever because they got the ball quicker because of their ability to push the ball through the air better, right? So that's where that gets lost in translation too, let alone RPOs. Hey, this boom, ball right over the middle, that doesn't usually lend itself to huge run after the catch.
Yeah.
Bootleg the same way. Play action, Tyreek fake the post, run a 20-yard curl. Now I throw a ball that's not exactly a laser over the middle, right? That's not going to lend itself to yards after the catch too. So again, there's some context there in that situation, let alone he got a lot of looks where teams were crept very close to the line of scrimmage because they were worried about all the other shit they were doing in that offense.
So he used a very important word there. He said the word context. When people get online and they start spewing stats, oh, he's the number one QB, he's done this, he's done that, they're not giving you context. What he just gave you was context. Do you agree or do you disagree? It's kind of hard to disagree when you have that kind of context. Forget the stats. Forget the numbers. Forget the charts. Use your eyes and look at what happened during games.
Despite all your negativity,
I know.
I still might pick the Dolphins to win that division.
I know.
I mean,
Gosh,
they're so good defensively too.
Yeah.
I mean, they got studs everywhere.
They do.
But a lot of it will hinge on if Tua is healthy enough to play.
If healthy.
So Derbio Bachter, our good friend, says
up, man?
availability is an important ability for an NFL quarterback. How much does it influence your rankings? As an example, a quarterback like Tua might be ranked at 15 in pure talent and leadership, but has shown that he cannot stay on the field. How much do you discount now from his max and potential? Yeah, like what if I told you Tua is going to be healthy? I can guarantee you that. He'll play the whole year.
If you tell me that there's no question that Tua is going to play the whole year, he's going to ball out all 17 games, I'm thinking Miami's going to the Super Bowl. All of you who think I flipped or turned my back on Tua, I'm telling you right now, I'm looking right at you, and I'm telling you if Tua stays healthy, there's a good chance that the Miami Dolphins could be in the Super Bowl.
Durable. We don't even have to worry about his health anymore. How many spots do you think it bumps about?
Not a ton.
Not that much.
Not a ton. Maybe a little bit, you know.
Now, see, now here comes his bias. That's, to me, bias. That's why I called him Miss Sims earlier in my YouTube career here, is that even if he, what he just said is that even with his durability fixed, with his durability not being an issue, yeah, I don't think I'm going to bump Tua up too much. That's BS, Chris. That is a BS answer because everybody knows. I don't think there's any doubt from anybody that if Tua stays healthy, this team isn't capable of going to the Super Bowl. That's bias.
There's a lot to like, and it's a great system fit, and he's got some charisma, and you know, everything went in the right direction this year.
Yes, it did. No, it didn't. What do you mean it went all in the right direction? He missed a bunch of games in December. He got concussed. They lost to the 49ers. They got beat by the Chargers. They barely made it into the playoffs. They were only 9-8. No, nobody is satisfied with how the Dolphins season ended up. Nobody.
You hate Tua. Why do you have Tua at number 21? Don't you?
Now, this is a next day on his show with Mike Florio. Pretty interesting here.
You hate Tua? I heard you hate Tua. They
Yeah.
said on Twitter you hate Tua.
That's what they say, right? I know.
Yeah, he got bashed. He got bashed everywhere. And I know a lot of you guys who watch my videos aren't on Twitter. Don't bother going. I'll take the arrows for you. But it's just really nasty. And if you saw my last video about what they did with TD Finstock, you understand what I'm saying. I mean, it's just a cesspool.
Well, all those intelligent Twitter people.
Oh my God, all those intelligent Twitter people, he's so right. I mean, I think we're talking to 14, 15, 16-year-old kids for the most part on Twitter because, damn, they don't have any sense.
There's a lot to like about Tua. Do I still have questions and need to see more? I mean, okay, yeah, I do. You know, here the positives are listen, he runs the offense perfectly. He's perfect fit for that offense. That's where it's great, right? He's I think other than Aaron Rodgers, maybe the best RPO thrower in football. He's got one of the quickest releases in the game. There's no doubt about that. It's what I love about him.
No
I
doubt.
mean, but you see balls like that right there. His arm is below average for an NFL starter. There's a lot of balls that flutter it.
He's talking over a video. They put these stills because obviously they don't have the rights to show the video, so the video would get taken down. But he was showing some of the short throws that Tua has made
in the air, and you go, that should be a 60-yard touchdown, but the guy had to stop and jump up and catch the ball, and we got 50 or 40 yards or whatever. There's that. You know, he's got incredible feet. There's no doubt about that. He's incredibly quick that way. He's not necessarily a great runner.
Yeah, he's not going to be Josh Allen, nor should he have to be in this Miami Dolphins offense. He just has to have quick enough feet to avoid people on certain plays.
And then, you know, his releases. He has a ton of different releases. That's where I do love Tua. He can find lanes, sidearm, awkward body throws, all of those type of things, right? But
that part of Tua's game is very similar to Pat Mahomes. I mean, he can throw it on the side, underneath, do some really weird things to get you the ball.
You know, when the tricks of the offense are taken away and there's, you know, things that Mike McDaniel doesn't serve up for him a little bit to a degree, his below average arm and what I'm talking about and his size and throws with the pocket collapsing, it doesn't create much.
Now, when he says below average arm and then people get upset, he's comparing them to other NFL quarterbacks, not quarterbacks from 10 years ago, NFL quarterbacks today. And he does have a below average arm, but it's not necessarily a deterrent in the Miami Dolphins offense. It's not. I disagree if you think that's a denigration. That's an accurate assessment. There's a difference between giving an accurate assessment and flat out lying and saying a guy can't throw. Too many people don't want to admit the accurate assessments on Tua Tagovailoa.
So that's what I'm saying. If the offense doesn't kind of create it, I don't know, you know, Tua, it's spotty at times.
Can you disagree? I'm asking you right now. You're watching this. If you got this far of the video, do you disagree? I can't.
And with power throws or balls, you need to put a little extra oomph in. He can certainly lose control of those balls at time. And like I said, you know, durability is part of this conversation as well. And that's another part of him that certainly has to improve with his jiu-jitsu and, you know, being able to take hits and keep himself on the field more.
I'm sorry. I had to chuckle. I have another video coming up about the jiu-jitsu stuff. But I had to chuckle about that. Hey, hold on, let me talk to you a second. I played football all the way back when I was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I was a big kid, and we played tackle football. We played football in the street. I had friends of mine who broke arms because of when they hit the curb. Then we played in the fields. None of us had helmets until we played organized football. So for years, by the time we got to high school, we'd already been playing football for what, 10, 12, 14 years in some instances, maybe not 14. You get to high school when you're 15, you're a freshman. So yeah, about 8, 9 years of playing football, and some of it organized. Never, the entire time I was playing, saw any of the kids with no helmets on, running into each other, making tackles, have a concussion. And we just had to learn how to fall. It just became part of what we did. So I digress here, but this jiu-jitsu thing just has me a little, I don't know.
It has to be. It has to be.
Right.
The best quarterbacks are available to their teams every week. You can't be a franchise quarterback and not be on the field. And we had 3 concussions, 2 concussions, and a back injury last year. Sure.
I'm sorry to laugh, but very, very, very few people think that Buffalo injury was a back injury. They have to say it was a back injury and there was only 2 concussions because that's what officially was said. But wink, wink. Come on, man. That Buffalo game, walk like a duck, quack like a duck, but we're not supposed to say it's a duck.
All because his helmet struck the turf, whether it was grass or whether it was artificial turf. I think it was grass the first time around in Miami.
It was.
But then
the frozen position was the Bengals field. Right.
That was, when he was in the fencing posture, that happened on artificial turf in Cincinnati. So,
and then the Green Bay game was in Miami on grass again. So it doesn't really matter. If he hits his head backwards on grass or turf, he could be subject to a concussion. And it is what it is. Again, here they are talking about Tua. I don't think many people would have a disagreement with most of the stuff they've said in both of these videos. You wouldn't know it by looking on Twitter. You wouldn't know it by looking on YouTube and seeing some of the comments. They just looked at the ranking being number 21 and, oh my God, that was horrible. But after you've listened, there's not a lot to disagree with.
Like we saw in the 49ers game and even the Chargers game. They took away some of the screens and the bootlegs and the things that, you know, who was it? Logan Ryan that made fun of him last year for all the 1-yard throws or all that. You know, they took away that stuff. And you saw, oh, wait, you got to hit 15 and 20-yard throws on consistent basis. And there was more to be had there. And that's something where I think he can improve. And, you know, we'll see where he goes this year in year 2 of that offense.
So they better be prepared. They better be prepared that a lot of teams have sat down and watched film and they know Tua's game. Now, as I said earlier, it's up to Mike McDaniel to put different kind of wrinkles and disguise Tua's inadequacies. It can be done, but are they going to be able to do that? That's probably, to me, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to in preseason. Are they going to be able to adjust to those who adjusted to them? So that's it. I don't think it was as bad of a assessment as it was made out to be. I think that Chris Sims really spent some time. We saw him looking at his notes. He really dug in. I only saw one really biased moment about Tua, but the rest of it, it's hard to disagree with. You can if you want, obviously. Most fans will discount it that he's number 21, but now seeing the criteria and how he broke it down, I'd like to know in the comment section what you think about Chris Sims ranking Tua Tagovailoa number 21 in the NFL. Talk to you soon. Fins up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?